Doing a bit of exploration at a road cut, looking for some fossils. Should be interesting. It's Ordovician material, so I haven't collected too much Ordovician, so we'll see what we can find. So this wall is turning out to be quite interesting. I've got something behind me that I want to show you guys. Let's check it out. So here's the interesting thing. Got herself a tiny little gastropod. Look at that. That's actually pretty well preserved. And just for reference, a modern day gastropod. It's a very, very distant, maybe relative, but this is a fossilized one. I'm quite happy with that. It's a cool little find. So we're just checking out the wall section now. Actually, it reminds us a lot of Hungry Hollow, kind of like this limestoney shale with the, like maybe some like shaly material, but then you get these layers of like clay and sediments. And I just got something strange here. We don't know exactly what it is, but we believe it's some sort of fossil. Maybe it's a cephalopod. Sometimes they get pinched at the back. Coral, burrow, who knows? But we know it's some sort of fossily something. Trace fossil, we don't know for sure, but that's coming home with us. It's a strange shape. I have a 2-for-1. I've got this tiny little perfect brachipod. Or it looks pretty all there. Plus, just slightly higher up, and this is the first thing I noticed, another gastropod by the looks of it. Sweet. It's a nice little twofer. Seems like there's a layer slightly higher up. It's about my head height. That seems to have some loose material with some good preservation. I found some other little brachiopods and some bryozoan-like material, so looks like we're in the right spot. Basically, right beside it, we've got another gastropod. To that. It's not all there, but pretty cool. So my buddy Aaron just found this awesome gastropod, literally just sitting in the ditch. That is sick, but that's a good sign. That means that there's better stuff out there. So here we got an interesting piece. It's got a partial cephalopod. Orthocone, I think, are the common ones for this time period for Ordovician. But then there's also, I think that might be partial trilobite cross section, some corals, crinoids, a whole bunch of fun stuff. There we go. Aaron just found this one, nice little gastropod. You can flip it over so we can see the backside. It's a little crushed on the backside, but still very cool. Nice find.
It might be a little exoskeletons.
Yeah, a little trilobite cheek piece or something. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Another piece of Aaron's. It's got one of the partial large gastropods, but then at the bottom you get a partial isotellus head. There's a cheek piece, and I think a bit of the eye is there. So that's a pretty cool combo, and I'll show you one other piece that Aaron found. A rare trilobite, part of a rare trilobite. So here is the really cool trilobite that Aaron found. You can see that bumpy face. There's even a little bit of the cheek spine left. But this is, like, from my understanding, like the holy grail for the trilobites of the Ordovician era, at least in at least in Ontario. So even to find a partial one is really good. But look at all those bumps. Let's get a closer up. The texture on that is amazing. See one of its eyes right there. This is centerpiece, cheek, partial cheek. Really cool combo. And then here's another piece that Aaron found. It's got a nice big brack on it. But then it's got 3 trilobite heads smashed up on each other. 2 of the, I forget it is, flexi something. And then an isotellus, I think. But a really cool combo. Another interesting plate. It's got some brachiopods. Got a little bit of an, I believe, an isotellus headpiece over there with an eye. It's fun material. Here's another type of gastropod in the matrix. Here we got a large partial cephalopod. I think I'll bring this piece home, or well, trim it off to keep the cephalopod piece and take that home with me. Got this piece. It's got some kind of curled thing in there. So we'll check that out. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's pinched like, or no, it's not pinched. Okay, I found something. Okay, let's get the sun.
Yeah. So
Aaron just pulled out this giant chunk of cephalopod. So this is a straight-shelled squid. You can see the, or not necessarily squid, but squid-like creature, and you can see the internal chambers of it. Flip it on the other side. Let's see. And then there's some of the matrix that's off of. So it's been pancaked a little bit.
And sitting on.
Maybe that's a little bit of the actual shell, or is that brachiopod?
Yeah, it's brachiopod in there. You can see the.
But yeah, I think you could actually peel off the matrix here. You see that?
Oh yeah.
Along there, that's just sitting on the matrix. But it is pinched a bit. So I found something a lot smaller earlier on today that I think we also think is cephalopod, but so like tiny, like that. But it's pinched at the end. Oh. So that's interesting. And then you can't really see much because it's just the cast of it, basically. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Here we have a chunk with some nice brachiopods. Another plate of brachiopods. It's some little trilobite material as well. Another large plate with brachiopods and stuff in it. So here we have some of the finds cleaned up. It ended up being a pretty interesting location for gastropods. We all found some interesting ones. One thing to note is that these gastropods are technically what you would consider to be steinkerns, or basically internal casts of the actual gastropods. There are probably little bits of shell mixed in with these, but most of the time these are just internal casts of the insides, and the shell has long been weathered away or didn't properly fossilize. Though with some of them, like this one, I believe, yeah, you can see this darker gray is actually the shell that's been preserved and fossilized. So it is possible for the shell to still be preserved. It's just, it seems, at least in the formations that I've been collecting this year of the Ordovician, a lot of the stuff is just steinkerns with the shell being eroded away and destroyed or non-existent in the first place. Now this piece we were talking about, maybe that it was some sort of cephalopod. It has some, the details aren't great on it, but it does seem to have a couple sections where it looks like it could maybe have some sort of internal chambers, but I'm not 100% sure. So not 100% sure on this, but this could be part of a cephalopod. It's definitely something interesting, definitely something different, but not 100% sure on what it is. If any of you guys are more familiar with collecting Ordovician fossils, let me know if this is something that looks familiar to you. I didn't get to show it on the video, but there was one layer specifically, a very distinct layer where there was a lot of bryozoan material. Most of it was like really small, fragmented pieces, but then you get larger pieces like this with, if you can see it on the camera, if it picks it up, with some nice texture to it, which is cool. And then here's a different one with a different type of texture. You can see it on this side very well. The nice kind of stippling texture of this bryozoan branch. And of course we got the brachiopods. Most of the brachiopod material that I found at this location was in matrix. There wasn't a lot that was weathered out of matrix. I think that's just because the shaly layers are a lot more barren, and then it's the harder layers kind of in between that seem to have most of the material. For example, here's one of the species that seems to be the larger species at this occurrence. I'll try and find the name of it. I'm still learning how to identify these and which ones they might be, but I'll try and find the name of it and throw it up. But this is one of the larger species of brachiopods that seem to be showing up at that road cut. And then we've got a piece like this where we got, actually there's some trilobite material, and then we got one brachiopod kind of sitting on top of that trilobite material. This could actually be all from the same creature, but I don't think it's all there. You can see this is the cheek piece of one, and there's an eye, and then there seems to be some sort of like maybe tail or midsection segment, and then also here. But it's all disarticulated, so if it is all from the same one, it's all kind of broken apart. Then of course we got these bigger hash plates, and I'll zoom in closer later just to show you guys all the details. There's a whole bunch of brachiopods in here of different types of species. There's even a brachiopod here that's the inside. You can actually see some of the internal hinge structure of a brachiopod. And there's on the back side, you can actually see there's some trace fossils of some sort of burrows, like worm burrows maybe, or small trilobite burrows. It's probably worm burrows if I was going to guess. But yeah, let's take a closer look at some of these. See the different brachiopods, different species, different sizes. And every once in a while you get like a little bit of trilobite material in the mix, including this nice Ceraris. I hope I'm saying that's right, Ceraris or Ceraris head. You can see one of the cheek spines. Here's a closer look at that one brachiopod. That's the internal side. You can see this would be the back end, and this is where the hinge would be of the brachiopod. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of, if you look close, you can see there's a whole bunch of interesting like things just in a piece like this. Then we have this piece, and it looks a little bit different. It has different coloration, and that I believe is due to just there's some iron oxides in the formation, and in certain areas there's less iron oxides, and I think it also has to do with where the water is flowing. So certain areas there's less water, and where there's more water there's more of the iron oxidizing and staining the rock. And then we got some brachiopods on the back end of this. But with this one, let's also take a closer look because it's got some interesting details. More brachiopod material, more trilobite material, then all kind of mixed in with this multi-colored matrix. We have a really small trilobite tail over here. Then we have a part of a trilobite face over here. Some sort of cheek spine of a trilobite. And then to finish off with this piece, those bigger brachiopods on the back. We've got some damage to them. They're not super well preserved, but they're still interesting. Then we have this large plate that I took back, which is just chock full of material. With some, actually it's got some concretions on the back. This site seemed to have a lot of concretions, and I've noticed at other Ordovician sites that there are certain layers where concretions show up more. You can also see the remnants of gastropods here, and some trace fossils as well. But taking a closer look, you can see that there's just a bunch of kind of brachiopod material just underneath the surface. And then we've also got, let's see if we can spot one. There is gastropod material in here. Let's see. We do have some gastropod material. There's one. There's another. If you can see that. But yeah, this material is pretty interesting. You get all little almost like death plates. You just get a bunch of jumbo. Pretty sure that's a bit of trilobite over here. Of what? I don't know. But it's got the right color. But you can see that there's just lots of brachipod shell material. Another gastropod there. And some trilobite material thrown in the mix as well. Makes for an interesting thing to just kind of look closer and look under the microscope, because you never know what's there. This brings us to the end of the video. If you like this type of stuff and you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Please as well, in the comments below, let me know what you found the most interesting. It was a cool location. It was really one of the first Ordovician fossil locations that I ever got to collect at. So it was a very fun experience that I got to experience. And it was also very fun because I got to collect with friends, which is always a plus. But that brings us to the end. Please do have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next video.